And good morning. It is Shanka Ponsley and Andrea Ferguson on their morning walk. And we have an exciting topic to kick off the week. We will talk about making business, we will talk about data-driven businesses and why they are better. Making data-driven decisions in a business is not necessarily easy, especially not when you start out on your entrepreneurial journey. There are just a lot of factors that go into having the data available, having the gumption to stick to what your data tells you and make decisions based on it, removing your emotions from your business process, and just in generally people who are more geared towards making gut-based decisions, emotion-based decisions, instinctual decisions. They kind of have a little bit of a harder time with this. And I can tell you that Andrea and I, we have taken a very honest look at our business that is really about to enter the phase of adulthood. And when we say adulthood, we mean a business that is definitely set up to generate $1 million in revenue per year. And we have noticed that it's just time to really go hard on data-driven decisions. Andrea, do you want to elaborate on that and why that matters from your perspective?
Absolutely. Data-driven business is crucial to maturing. I think every company that decides to use that, first of all, you have some kind of record, which means there's been time involved, or there's a proven method where there's research and that's other people's time involved. And there's just that correlation between time, data, maturity, and when you combine them, you're really operating on a level where you can't be influenced by emotions as easily. So again, to me, that really shows a great deal of maturity, because if you remove the facts and you just go with your guts or even your passions, like, you can be really misled and passions burn or fade. There's trends and all of these things that tend to move people in certain directions. That's the whole purpose, right, of throwing that into ads or to try to get whimsical business, I say, which is when you're not shopping for anything and then suddenly you go into a store and you're moved by whatever is grabbing your attention. But if you go by the facts are I need X, Y, and Z, or I don't have this in my budget, or whatever, then you're more able to make better decisions. And I think we see that all the time, the difference between a parent and the kid when they go into a store, always asking for things that aren't necessarily needed.
Ooh, that is a great analogy. And it is one that often applies to you and your clients, whereas you would be the parent because you have to manage your company's resources. And your client is just a child that finds him or herself in a candy store and sees all your services and just wants to go and basically open the jars, spill everything out, and take whatever
Looks good.
whatever they want, right? And they have the parent is paying for it, so they have no concern for what it costs and also how long it takes. And
If it's
even if
good for
they
them.
eat if they eat too much candy and take too much of different kinds of candy, their stomach will turn sour and it's actually, as you say, not good for them. So I love how we found this awesome metaphor here for this service provider client relationship that really, if it is not data driven, can turn very sour. And it is very, very difficult as new business owners to make your clients stick to data-driven decisions, because you just very often at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey don't have that fortitude and that self-confidence to just stand up, set boundaries, and say, no, I know we could do 100 different things, but we're going to stick to the strategy and approach that we agreed on. And that is just so very important. And as we go
Absolutely.
this morning and we continue this conversation, I just want to give a brief overview of what we will touch on. We'll talk a little bit about data collection, about making data-driven decisions, tracking progress with KPIs, which stands for Key Performance Indicator.
Great. So, I mean, as you said, emotions have no place in business. And sometimes you can tackle the hard stuff right away if you come with the facts. So, and then you would maybe start with collecting data. How would we do that? And does it have to be your data?
What do you mean by that, Andrea? Your data?
So you say to make data-driven decisions, you first have to collect it, and everyone needs to help. And then you go into the different types of technology and tracking tools. But I was wondering, when we're having these conversations and we're talking about data, does it need to be data from your company?
Well, that is a good question. And there is a term called benchmarking that basically compares your performance to industry standards. And it is a very helpful approach, especially at the beginning of your journey when you don't have data and you just want to know if what you are doing is somewhat close or in the area of what other people are experiencing. So, for example, if you have a form out there on a website which is collecting leads, and you know that typically about 5% of website visitors industry wide enter their contact information, then you know that if you are way below that 5%, you probably have a problem with that form, and you need to adjust other factors of your funnel or your circumstances.
Mhm. Right. So what are some of the technology and tracking tools that should be utilized?
Okay, yeah. So generally, your best friend is a spreadsheet. Okay, especially at the beginning when you don't have funds and don't have the technical understanding to do complicated analytics. You just want to have your spreadsheet or even a piece of paper where you input, okay, I invested $10, that got my information in front of X amount of eyes, which would be impressions in web development or in web technology speak. An impression is how often is an ad submitted to eyes, if you will, or a piece of content. And then how many calls did I receive? How many people reached out to me? That would be a lead. And also, how many conversions did I realize? And that is when a sale happens. So again, there's the impression, the lead, and the conversion. And while marketers can make that sound like it's rocket science, it's really not. It's really just, how many people saw something, how many reacted, and how many bought. And you have to start tracking it. It is just something that is easy to be neglected, especially by people who are not wired that way, where they're data driven and they don't like numbers. But if you don't know where your sale comes from, you have a hard time scaling up because you don't know what's working and what not. So in the term of online marketing, which is something that Andrea and I are well versed in, there are three tools that I want to kind of address. The first one would be form tracking, which means whenever a lead form is submitted, you can collect with tools the information of where did that traffic come from. Was it a Google search? Was it Facebook organic traffic or Facebook paid traffic, and so on and so forth. The same goes for call tracking. Where did the call originate? Was it on the website, on a flyer, on a business card, or maybe on Google My Business? So that's all technology that will can tell you that. And then also other web analytics technologies, very often called tags or pixels, that will give you that information. And then you definitely want to track always, okay, we have had 5 conversions. Again, conversion is a sale. 5 sales coming from people who saw us or discovered us on Facebook. If that is the case, for example, you know that you can allocate more budget to your Facebook efforts.
Okay. So one of the things that you advise when we're tracking progress with KPIs, which would be key performance indicators, is what?
When we are using KPIs, which is again a key performance indicator, it is important not to overcomplicate things. And usually the situation is that you want to track sales and you focus on sales, but you don't have enough volume in your pipeline yet. So you have to choose the preceding metric, often called lead metric. And to put that into simple terms, before you can have a lead, before you can have a conversion, a sale, you need to have a lead. Okay, so if you have no sales, then focus on getting leads. But before you have a lead, you need to have impressions, meaning your information is submitted to eyes that are relevant eyes. Okay, so if you have no leads, then focus on impressions. And that is typically the 3 metrics that for most businesses will suffice. Again, if you have no sales, focus on leads. If you have no leads, focus on impressions. Always focus on the lead metric, the preceding metric that basically is a gateway into your most important key performance indicator.
Love it.
Something else that I want to add to this, and Andrea, you can tell me when your next meeting starts or when you need to leave.
Yes, it's been beautiful, and I look forward to hearing the rest.
Okay. So something else that I have to mention is that it is not always easy to get yourself to making data-driven decisions. But believe me, once you have kind of battled yourself through that mindset, that you will start talking data to yourself, to your team, and also to your clients, it just becomes beautifully simple to decide on certain things in your business. It's really amazing because finally, it takes arguing out of the picture a little bit, because there are just numbers you can communicate and share, and you just cannot argue with them. Okay, and if that helps you to reduce friction in your everyday business communications, whether it comes to telling your employees what works or what doesn't, or whether it comes to asking yourself, should I hire another web developer or another marketer, or whether it comes to telling your client quite simply, hey, we have reached our capacity of deliverables for this month that is in relation to the agreed rate. And if there's anything more, we need to higher the rate, or, so these kind of conversations become all of a sudden become very easy because you can talk about numbers versus having to rely on guesswork or on emotions. Now again, in order to get yourself to that point, some of you may have to change their mindset and embrace this world of numbers and tracking that, especially for the people amongst you that are more emotionally driven, the creative people, the left brain, as they call them, right? For you, it may be a little bit more of a challenge to do that than it is for a right-brained, logical, data-driven, numbers-driven person. But it is something I can tell you that if you're in business, whether that is just for yourself as a freelancer or you have larger operations, you need to know the numbers. That obviously also translates very well into bookkeeping. You need to know your numbers in the books. You need to know the terms, the general bookkeeping terms, so that you can at any moment in time have a very clear and concise picture of what is going on in your business and make decisions based on that. I want to take your attention to Shanks.club, SHANKX.club, which is a membership that costs you $7 a month if you use the coupon code LIVE, LIVE. You only know that code now because you have listened to this live. And what I do there is I publish a small lesson once a week, if you will, where I summarize something in an understandable way that helps you grow, manage, lead, evolve your business. Okay. Any business owner, anyone who is interested in becoming more visible online will find value in that. And I just realized yesterday that essentially, since my early childhood on, I've been teaching, I've been tutoring, I've been trying to see how can I make complicated concepts easier and convey them to people I care about. And that's essentially why Shanks Club is there, Shanks.club. Shanks, SHANKX.club. I will, Andrea had to move on, but I send you her regards as well. We both hope that you have an amazing start into your week, and we'll see you or hear you again very soon on this platform. Thank you for now.